Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I have something a little bit different. So yesterday was my anniversary, my husband and I 12-year anniversary. Funny enough, I did not actually make him a card. You know what they say kind of about the cobbler's children are barefoot. Well, sometimes my husband doesn't get a card. That's okay. He didn't get me anything for our anniversary. It's not that he forgot or anything, that he's actually very good at remembering our anniversary, but like we just don't do that. I did make him a mug at the pottery studio, but anyway. What he did find yesterday as he was cleaning things out is he found an old card that I had made him right when I had first started crafting. And seeing this old card made me think about how different my crafting is now to when I started. And so I thought it might be interesting to go through some of my old cards, talk about what I might do differently, and then show you some of my favorite cards that I've made. Now, my absolute favorites are probably not in this pile here, simply because they're ones that I have given away. I do have some pictures of them that I might put up, but you can also find them on my Instagram page if you want to follow along on my Instagram page. I have a lot of former projects and stuff on there. But anyway, just want to go through some cards, and if there are any of the cards that I made that you're like, hey, I'd be really interested in knowing how to make that, or I'd love to see you redo it now with new techniques and maybe a new system or way that you are doing it, just let me know. I'll put the numbers of the cards down below, and let me know in the comments if there's one that you'd like to see me remake, or if there's one that you think I should make differently, or if there's one that you just want to know how I made it. So this is the card that my husband found yesterday. And there's nothing wrong with this card. It's just when looking at it, I'm like, oh gosh, I would definitely do this differently. This is a cute little fox. If you saw the video that I posted yesterday with the penguin builder, you saw that this fox was one that I had made with Stampin' Up! Fox Builder, which was very cute. So my husband loved foxes, so that's one of the reasons I made it with the fox. But one of the main things that I notice about this card is how kind of flimsy it is. And at the time I was building this card, I don't think I had a great paper stash. I don't think I really knew about the difference in paper weights. And so this is just like your very simple, like anything that you would find at like a Staples or anything like that. Cardstock, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just leads to a card that is very, very flimsy. So if I was to do this again today, I would definitely use a thicker cardstock. I would probably put a panel on the inside to also strengthen it and to have the sentiment written there, and to give it a little bit more of a kind of professional feeling finish. I'd also colored this in, I think this was probably with Wink of Stella. You can see it's a little sparkly, and I would have done this differently. I might have used something different in the background. I might have used more of a matte. And then same with the cutouts here, and I think these are birch press plate, but the cutouts I used very flimsy paper as well. I don't even think these were cardstock. I think these were just like regular colored paper. So that is definitely something that I would do differently. So this is, I think, probably the very first card that I made, if not one of the first cards, but it might actually be the very first card that I ever made. And the reason I made this card was actually I had a coworker who had some old paper pumpkin kits, and she had an extra one of this one. I think she'd been a demonstrator and she just had an extra one of this one. And she gave it to me, and that actually kind of kickstarted my love of paper crafting. And I thought this was just such a cool idea, making my own cards. I actually thought card making would save me money. I thought if I make my own cards, then I don't have to pay $5 for a card here or there, and how economical that will be. And you guys can all laugh at me now, because I mean, the supplies that I use with my cards, basically at this point, each card is probably like a $25 card at minimum, just given the amount I've invested in my supplies. But it's a hobby and it's fun, and so that's why I do it. But paper pumpkin is a great way to start if you are new to crafting, if you are new to card making. And I don't typically buy paper pumpkin kits anymore. One of the downsides of the paper pumpkin kits is that it's a total mystery. You have to sign up ahead of time. You can't see what the kit is and then buy it, which is a real drawback, because they do have a lot of kits that I like. but I end up buying them secondhand on eBay or something like that, just so that I can get the exact ones that I want, because there were a bunch that it's like, this theme doesn't speak to me, or I have too many of this particular theme, and I just didn't want to keep subscribing. But they do have some good things, and what I do now with a lot of the paper pumpkin kits, I have some where I just go on and I use the different embellishments and different things that come with the kit. And, I just use the pieces from it. And this is actually a kit I really loved. I actually got a second one of this because this is, I loved the fall theme and all the elements that came with it. So, paper pumpkin, good place to start if you are a beginner. But one of the drawbacks of paper pumpkin is that they do tend to be pretty simple card kits because they are intended, I think, for beginners, or maybe for people who don't have a lot of time to craft. I often go back to a paper pumpkin kit when I am feeling a little low on inspiration and I still want to create something, but I don't know what, and the paper pumpkin kits walk you through exactly how to make a card. So that can be beneficial for some people. So that was one of the very first cards that I made. And here's an example of a paper pumpkin kit that I kind of deconstructed and made my own pieces with. I'm 90% sure that I did this. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm 90% sure that these are elements I created myself, and that they did not come with the kit. These are the elements that came with the kit, which are perfectly nice. It was great for like a masculine kind of card. But I wanted to do something a little bit more and to use the elements in kind of a different way. And so I just cut these out using supplies that I had from different kits, the different die cuts, and I know this one I definitely cut out from a different kit. The pine tree scene and stuff there with the lake. And this I made actually for my dad, though I haven't given it to him, obviously. Because it reminds me a lot of our family camp on Lake Champlain and in the Adirondacks, and it looks very similar to that. So that's a great way to use the paper pumpkin kit as a different way than it was intended. So this is an example of the card that I made using the elements from that other paper pumpkin kit. And I liked the layering piece, and I thought that was fun, and the little clothespins and all of that, they all came from different kits, and that was kind of a fun look. Now these are some pretty simple cards, one-layer cards that I made from a Simon Says stamp kit. And I happen to know that this is the very first Simon Says stamp kit that I bought because it was kind of a revelation to me that other companies made kits. I don't know how I came across Simon Says stamp, probably looking for supplies or something. And I really liked all the different elements here, but this is very different from what I would make now. Now I think, for example, I would probably cut out the fence here. I would use more pattern paper in the back. I would probably put the sentiment up on a cardstock and have it raised a little bit. I would have cut out, either die cut or fussy cut this, and raise that up and just made it a multi-layer card. And single layer cards can be very nice. I know lots of people do lovely single layer cards, but even with single layer cards, they tend to have like a mat or tend to have elements that just make it look a little more finished. And so these cards look a little unfinished to me now, but I remember when I made them, I thought like, oh, this is so cool. Like, other than the paper pumpkin kit, I can go ahead and create my own scene, do my own thing with it. This is the very first card that I ever made with a Hero Arts kit. And most of my kits are Hero Arts kits or Simon Says stamp kits, just because I think that they are great value, and I tend to like a lot of the elements and images that they have. I feel like they're kind of modern images. So this is, a very simple card, and here I am trying to make it a multi-layer card. And I think what I would do differently this time is I would have kind of a matte background. I would definitely use more solid paper. This is just a very simple, probably 65-pound cardstock. And what I would also probably make is I would make this out of something more sturdy. I'm thinking maybe like a laminate. And I would make this so that it's detachable, so that somebody could actually use this as like a decoration on their Christmas tree or something like that. But I know for a fact this was the very first Hero Arts kit that I ever got. which was pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some of my favorite cards that I have ever made. This one I think is really nice. I like the way that, I matted this on the card base. I like the hello with the glitter. I cut this out of glitter foam panels. And I cut these out of different dies, and I don't remember which die set this was. But I like the way that I raised it up and kind of created a little scene and everything like that. And I like the simplicity of just the black and white. If I was to do this differently now, I think I would do most of this the same, but I would just add a panel on the inside and just to strengthen that paper there. But I do like the silver glittery paper that ties back to the silver glittery hello there. This is another card that I like. I really like these, the stamp set that is a Hero Arts kit from way long ago. And I actually didn't buy this stamp set when it first came out. When I first saw the kit, I was like, I don't think I'll ever use any of those images. Those are really weird, like the Chinese lantern flowers. And I'm like, I don't know when I will ever use something like that. But it kept kind of like nagging at me when I saw what other people were making with it, and I was like, oh, those are so beautiful, those are so pretty. So I did end up buying this aftermarket. I bought it on eBay, I think, and just used some distress oxides to kind of color that, and embossed it, and embossed the gold there, which I think gives it a nice touch. And then at this time I was also using the glossy accents to just make like little dewdrops. And I like using glossy accents for that purpose. So again, just a very simple card. If I was to do it differently, I'd use a heavier card base, but other than that, I think it's a pretty nice card. Now this is a card that I definitely would never think to make myself. This is based off of Jennifer McGuire's tutorial, and she does amazing work. I don't know how she manages to constantly have brand new things, brand new ideas, and just absolutely amazing. But this is based off of her work, and this is a Hero Arts kit from probably 4 or 5 years ago. And this is a card with a little surprise in it. What do you think? I love that, the kids jumping off the dock like that. Used a little acetate there to make that function, and used a little pop-up mechanism to make the dock pop up. And then if you'll see, this is supposed to be the Loch Ness Monster, but I'm from New England, and again, I said my family has a camp on Lake Champlain, and everybody on Lake Champlain knows we have our own lake monster, Champy. So this is Champy, the lake monster. So I just thought this was great. These are mountains, a little different than we have. These are more like, I think, West Coast mountains, but I thought it was still very appropriate for somebody in my family because we love spending the summer at the lake. Very simple card. This is just made with embossing powder, gold embossing powder on this kind of periwinkle cardstock. It is a stamp that was just a background stamp, and then I just colored these in. Didn't take much. The color of the background actually came through quite well. I think I just used, regular watercolor type markers to color this in, and it gives a great effect. It looks a lot fancier than it is. This was a really great quick card and really easy to put together. Again though, kind of flimsy paper. I would go ahead and strengthen that up if I were to make this again. This is a fun one. This one is made with Hero Arts background die. This one I think came with one of the Hero Arts kits, one of their water themed ones. And then this is a koi pond background that is one of my favorites. And I don't know if you can see, it has acetate on top of it to kind of give that watery effect. Just very simple, nothing on the interior. And I thought the sentiment, the catch of the day, was great for this card. This card I made with Copic markers, and this was the first time that I actually had some Copic markers, and so I was kind of testing it out, very new to doing it. And you can kind of see I tried to do some of the shading on the inside of the heart here so that it was kind of lighter on the inside, and kind of made the hugs kind of a focal point there. This was cut out of foam panel, so it stands up on its own, and it has sticky on the back, and I love the foam panels for that because on something like this where you want some dimension and you want it to stick, and these are kind of very persnickety pieces here that are difficult to stick on and get glue on, like very fine. And so cutting it out of a foam panel that has the adhesive already on the back makes it really simple to use. And this is a background stamp that Simon Says Stamp made, and I'm pretty sure that they still have it available. And one of the things I liked about it is that the center heart actually could come out from the background stamp and you could put something else inside of it. This is a super simple card made very quickly, just using the pattern paper. Just had this sentiment made from some stamp set that I had, I don't even know which, and just cut up some pieces of different embellishments, cardstock and stuff like that. And this is just one piece of cardstock with the pretty image on it. I just added some Nuvo drops for the embellishments here, and those can be really nice because they do give a raised effect. It's nice and shiny, but you don't have to try and glue like individual little sequins and stuff on it. So super simple card, very quick to make, but I think it is nice and elegant. This was a fun card that I made. The die that I cut this out with is a Hero Arts die from a set a long time ago. I think it had kids swinging on branches originally. And then the background stamp is Lavinia stamps, I think it is. And for this moon image, what I did is I just used a piece of paper that had adhesive on the back, very low tack adhesive, put it on there, and then did Distress Oxide inks all around it. And then it gave that kind of moon image. And then once I took the paper off, I kind of did a little bit more on the inside there to give it more of a glow. And then using the stamp set, I just embossed it and used a little water to add some water droplets. And I think that came out nicely. I really like the sentiment on the inside. This is not something I see stamp companies doing very often, and I really wish they would do kind of more, not generic, but like just have more interesting interior sentiments and kind of quotes and things that are useful for like kind of all occasions. And I just thought this was really lovely. This is a Hero Arts stamp, and they had this a while back with different Shakespeare quotations on it. So this is from A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays and goes really well with this theme because Midsummer Night's Dream is all about fairies. And so the quote says, "I know a bank where the wild thyme blows, where oxlips and the nodding violet grows, quite over-canopied with luscious woodbine, with sweet musk roses, and with eglantine." So there's that one. Here's a sympathy card I made using a lighthouse die, and I cannot for the life of me remember who made this lighthouse die. If you know, let me know in the background. This kind of watercolor background is not actually one that I made myself. This is just a piece of scrapbooking paper that is watercolored look. And I love using scrapbook paper that has kind of a watercolor look like that. I think it's so convenient. I'm lazy, and having backgrounds pre-made like that makes card making and crafting a lot easier. And I just used the glossy accents all over this card where the water is to kind of give it that shine. And it's almost a one-layer card. There's no raised element to this other than little sequins here. Another very simple card. This is actually using leftover pieces from the other card that I showed. So this was what I had cut off after I had made the other card to cut it down to size, because this was a 6x6 stamp set. And I thought this was just so pretty, I couldn't leave this to waste. So I just went ahead and matted this on this sparkly paper, added the sentiment, and it's a quick, easy, very pretty little card, I think. Here's a fun card. This is all Hero Arts elements, and this is that koi pond background stamp that I mentioned earlier. And I used watercolor pencils to color in all of the elements, and then just use a little bit of water over the watercolor pencils to give it that watercolor effect. So I like using watercolor pencils because it does make card making pretty quick and easy if you don't want to haul out all of your watercolors. Or if you're kind of card making on the go, you can bring the watercolor pencils with you a little bit more easily than you can with an actual watercolor kit, and then you can just use like a water brush like this that has water inside it, and you use it with the watercolor pencils and just kind of spread that pigment around. And I used Wink of Stella to kind of make this fish sparkly, which is something that I love to use. And then I used, I think it was some Nuvo crystal drops to go ahead and make the lines and everything like that on the water. And the little frog, I popped him up on some foam tape, and I thought he was just really cute with this. So this is kind of just a generic all-purpose card. I made several actually of this because I liked this so much. This one, hardly any stamping at all. This is made from a haul that I got at a craft store, and it had these rainbow stickers that I thought were really cute, and I thought just went really well with some of the other elements that I had, kind of a cloud die and these watercolor, these water droplets that I had as embellishments. So yeah, just a cute little card for anybody for a birthday. This is a Simon Says stamp butterfly, which is one of my favorite kits of theirs. It's one that I go back to all the time. I don't know if you find like I do, there are certain kits that I just use again and again and again, and then certain kits that I buy and I use them maybe once when I get them and they're brand new, and then they kind of like fade out of my consciousness and I don't remember them. But this is one that I use again and again. And I use a jelly plate to make the background on this, and then I use Distress Oxides on the jelly plate, and then I stamped the jelly plate on just a plain piece of paper. And then I stamped the butterfly over it, and I colored the butterflies in with Distress inks, and then used the glossy accents all over it to make it stand out. Simple card, but this is a technique that I've gone back to again and again. I think it gives a nice raised impression here, and makes it stand out and makes a very nice card. Now this may be my favorite card that I have ever made. I think this might be the most kind of professional, interesting looking card that I ever made. And I used a stencil, a cloud stencil, to just do the background images here. This is a County Fair stamp from a Hero Arts kit. And this little hello die came with this stamp set that came with a Stampin' Up! No, not Stampin' Up! Came with a Simon Says stamp kit. And I love that it pulls the little banner behind it like that. And then on the inside you can see that same plain glossy accent there to give it a little raised look, and sending that banner, sending you love. And I don't know, I mean, this probably wouldn't be other people's favorite card, but there's just something about this that really speaks to me and I really like it, and I should probably send it to somebody so that they can enjoy it. But I don't know if you have the same thing that I do, but for cards that I really like, I really try to send them only to people that I know will appreciate the work that went into them and will actually keep the cards. Acquaintances and, work colleagues and stuff like that, I'll send cards that obviously I've worked on, but they wouldn't be like heartbreaking to me if like they just tossed them or something like that. They're, simpler cards or something. But this one took a long, long time. A lot of thought went into this one. So it would be heartbreaking to me if somebody was just like, whatever. Like this is an example of one where if, I sent this to somebody and they threw it away, like it wouldn't bother me. Like this is a perfectly nice card. I enjoyed making it. I think it's lovely. I think it's got a lot of nice elements to it. But it's not so personal or special. It's, kind of just layering elements, and it didn't take a ton of creativity to do this. I just cut out pieces from different cardstock and just put it together. This is with the foil machine from Spellbinders that made this sentiment, and cut that out. So this is a very nice card. I'd be very proud to send this out to somebody, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they didn't keep this and cherish this forever. Another cute little thank you card. This is when I was subscribing to the Hero Arts kits. I don't subscribe to them anymore because I like to be able to pick and choose more of the kits that I have, especially when I have so many that I want to make sure that the ones that I get are things that I don't have already in my stash, or they're not like duplicating something they already have. So this was one of the last kits that I had when I had it on subscription, and I thought this was a really cute look. This is a little cafe theme, and you know how the baristas oftentimes make images in your coffees and cappuccinos and things like that. And if you can see, this is actually raised using some puff embossing powder. And I thought those little images were really cute. And then I used some glossy accents on the cup and saucer to make that stand out. So thanks a whole latte. This is another card that, again, I worked hard on this. I enjoyed working on it, but it's pretty simple. And if somebody, you know, didn't keep this forever and ever, I would be okay with that. But the card itself, the images are kind of a folksy image from a very recent Simon Says stamp release, and I think that they probably still have this in their store as of August 2023. The background paper, just different scrapbooking background papers, and this was an element, a die cut element that came from a different kit, and just putting them together, I thought it had a nice folksy theme. This is a card that I made very recently, and if you've seen some of my videos down below, very recent, you'll notice that this is the same as the one in that video, and I was surprised by how much I like this. I thought the elements came together really well, the pink of the butterfly with the pink of the sparkle here, and the the Better Press plate really gave it a nice image and a nice feel to it. So this is one that I'd be really proud to give to somebody, and one that I would actually be sad if somebody was just like, tossed it in the garbage. This is a very recent one from the Spellbinders July, I think, either June or July kits, and I rarely buy Spellbinders kits. They're lovely, but they're oftentimes more fussy than what I like to do. Like I've said before, I'm kind of a lazy crafter, and so putting all these like persnickety pieces together takes a lot of time and patience, and especially cutting them out in the different colors takes a lot of time and patience, which I often do not have. And so in this one, I did actually go ahead and do it because I thought this was such a beautiful image, such a beautiful card, and I got a lot of different elements from the release. All of these little pieces have to be cut out individually, different cardstock, so that does take a lot of time. I used sand embossing powder on the bottom here, and I used kind of the puff embossing powder on the waves here to kind of give it some more dimension, and then just some glitter cardstock. But I really love how that came out. And then the sentiment on the inside I thought was really cute, and this is from a Hero Arts kit from a long time ago. They have a lot of ocean themed kits. This little fish brings you a big birthday wish, and I thought that was absolutely perfect sentiment for this card. This was a fun card, no stamping involved in it. I saw this sentiment here that came from a Echo Park paper pad, and it was called Cosmopolitan Girl, very lovely paper pad. And I had this in my stash, and I'd actually had this for years and years and years and years. I think I actually had this in my stash before my son was born, and he was like 9 years old, and I never knew what to do with it. This little, I think this was probably for like a scrapbooking page or something like that, and I never knew what to do with this piece. And then I saw the sentiment and I was like, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect for like a birthday card or something like that. Life is a party, dress like it. Here is one of my absolute favorite cards that I made, and all of these elements are Hero Arts elements, and I actually won a competition with this card, and I got a $50 gift card from Hero Arts for making this card, which was very exciting and very fun. The background is a background stamp, and the technique I used on this, I was trying something different, and I actually used like I think it was a like a sticky embossing powder. And then I used the foil from like a hot foil machine, and I put this through a laminator and got this look. And it's kind of nautilus shell, and I don't use that technique very often. This is one of the first times I used that technique, and the reason is because it's somewhat inconsistent in its results, but I thought the inconsistent results here actually lended it well to that look of the ocean. And the background is just kind of a watercolor background that was pre-made. It was a card stock pad, and like I said before, I really like having the watercolor pads so that I can just go ahead and really quickly make this. This was from an Art Nouveau kind of kit that they had. And then this koi die is actually one that I got in a surprise box at the Stampin' Up! Warehouse sale. And I was really surprised by how much I have used this die. This was phenomenal, and you know, since it was part of the warehouse sale, I don't think they're making this anymore, which is really unfortunate because it's really beautiful. And I did actually, this one, I did not cut it out of cardstock watercolor paper. I actually watercolored this myself. I did a whole page of watercolor that's kind of koi colored, and then I cut out like 6 different koi from that panel that I made, just so that I had them on stock. And I don't know if you can see that this is a very 3D effect. The little scales are kind of raised up. When you cut it out, you can kind of raise it up. I thought this was just absolutely gorgeous. One of my absolute favorites, so much so that I'm like, I don't want to give this one away. Like I just, yeah, I really love it. It's a very simple card made completely with cardstock elements from a paper card kit, and just went ahead and mounted this on foam tape and fussy cut around this. I think this is actually a sticker that came with the card pad, cardstock pad, and I just added tiny little embellishments, these tiny little nail art embellishments actually, and I thought they gave it a nice little look, gave it a nice little something extra. And then this sentiment is from a from a Simon Says Stamp kit. So with extra pieces, when I'm cutting them to make them to size for my card, I often like to use the extra pieces as a little embellishment on the inside. This is a card that I made for my husband on Father's Day. He and my son are both huge Star Wars fans, so I thought this was appropriate. I don't remember the company that made these particular stamps. I got them a long, long time ago. And I did not keep the packaging. So this is just very quickly, very imperfectly colored in with some Copic markers. Nothing fancy or difficult on that. And then I just added this little embellishment that I thought was really cool that I'd had in my stash. And I have so many things in my stash for exactly moments like this, because I was like putting this card together and I was like, this needs a little something extra, and I found this and was like, perfect. So, you know, had my son write it on the inside, best dad in the world. So who doesn't love that? And so this card, in contrast with the card that you saw at the beginning of the video, you know, just the difference in the quality of it, you can kind of really feel the time and effort and the expense that went into this, because this is such a solid card. You can kind of hear it, and just the elements are just put together in a way that I didn't know how to do when I was first starting out with stamping and card making. And then this is another one of my absolute favorites, so much so that I have actually gone to go try and send this to people many, many times, and then I always end up holding it back because I love this one. It's deceptively simple, but I think it packs a really nice punch. And so this is that same Simon Says Stamp kit of butterflies that I just did on this particular panel, and it was just a very simple, like light blue panel of cardstock, and then I used Distress Oxides to go around and kind of give it an antiqued look. And then I just used the Glimmer foil machine with the Thanks die, just putting it on top of it, and then used Nouveau Drops glossy accents to add the little water droplets all around it. So this one, I don't know, there's something about it that I find so lovely, and yet it was one of the easiest cards to make, one of the most simple. And so I should probably just make a bunch more of this and just make them and give them away and then not worry about it. But I don't know about you, but I find that I often don't like to remake the same cards. Even as much as I love how they look, my creativity goes to wanting to make something completely new, completely different. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of these cards and learning a little bit more about how my card making style has changed over the years. If there are any that you would like to see me remake, please let me know. I'd be happy to do that and walk through a tutorial with you. Leave the number of the card down below and I'd be happy to do that. And let me know, using the number of the card below, which one was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. Please like, subscribe, and share if you found this helpful, and I can't wait to see you again.